Hello, welcome back. This is episode 21 of the April 2021 series of articles of The Light, an online free truth paper available on their website, thelight.co.uk. We are currently on the health section, and this is page 17 of the paper. And there's two articles, so two episodes for this page. This first article is entitled Open Letter to Medical Professionals and written by Dr. Ermi Ray. An open letter to the peoples of the world, especially to the medical profession. She lay in bed with a half delirium, strongly sedated with morphine, hardly aware of her surroundings. She was barely 19. She, like every other patient, had no right to any visits. She begged the doctor to phone her mother. He refused. She had a panic attack and could hardly breathe. They refused to wear a mask as it was too painful. The nurses refused to attend to them. One of them was being given oxygen. In her early 80s, she was so desperate for help that she complied and nearly suffocated. Her younger fellow patient, who had lost her mobility, refused and could not therefore go to the toilet for so long that her blood pressure went up to 20. He began to have chest pain. It would not go away. His difficulty breathing kept worsening. His wife drove him to emergency. He was not admitted because he did not present any COVID symptoms. He was sent home. Within hours he passed away. He was barely 70 and was known to be in good health. Only his wife was allowed to attend the funeral. She was banned from praying in the church. The priest was so afraid that he remained far apart and rapidly disappeared. His son, in his late 40s, unable to cope with a death which should not have occurred, prevented from attending the funeral, had a nervous breakdown. He was left without care. After all, he might infect everyone with COVID. His kidney stone problem was diagnosed in September. He was supposed to be operated in November. The operation was postponed to December and once more cancelled. His pain became insufferable. He only survived with high doses of morphine. He went to emergency. They only tested him for COVID and sent him home, then pestered him through calls and visits because he had tested positive. He was finally operated in late February, but by then his condition had worsened. He has been experiencing excessive post-surgical pain. He is only 41. She suffers from low blood pressure and needs to regularly go to accident and emergency. Each time her heart and other organ functions are properly checked. Unable to breathe, when she went recently, she was only tested for COVID and she was pestered because she had tested positive. She is in her late 30s. She had serious knee pains and went to emergency. They refused to even consider her case because she refused to wear a mask. She is 80. She returned home and had to nurse herself alone. She broke her tibia bone. Where she is, the mask is compulsory outside. She suffocates with it, and even more so now that every step is such a physical effort. Her GP refused the certificate necessary for exemption. This is her response. The severity of the pandemic does not accept any exception to the wearing of a mask. The physiotherapist can teach you to breathe well through the mask, before going out with you, both masked. This leaves her unable to practice walking outside. She is in her 50s. These have since last year become commonplace stories. We are letting people suffer and die by leaving them without medical care. We are letting people suffer and die by ensuring detrimental conditions, by misdiagnosing them and then giving them the wrong treatment. According to an administrator in one of the world's most prestigious hospitals, all of our non-COVID patients caught COVID while hospitalized and have all died. Was this a consequence of misdiagnosis based on a test whose inventor said it is not fit for purpose? The existence of a virus has not yet been evidenced. Not only has causality not been established, no specimens have been isolated. What are the tests, treatments, and vaccines about in that case? What is the logic behind their development? Whether doctor, nurse, admin or orderly, you who choose the responsibility to care for your fellow human beings in their greatest hour of need, step back and think about what you are doing and are being asked to do. Talk to one another about concerns you may have. Is it not nonsensical when you need help, to be told we can't do anything for you so we can protect you from COVID? Why are you certifying on death certificates an unidentified disease as a cause of death and ignoring the real causes? She was 80. She had cardiopulmonary disease with increased breathlessness over the last 18 months, thyroid and stomach problems, and metal pins holding her extremely crooked leg together for the last 8 years. She was on 10 different medications, including a long-term and relatively high dosage of morphine. She came down with cold, flu-like symptoms a few weeks ago, had a test, it came back positive, which made her anxious, and one morning she fell while getting out of bed and broke her leg. They couldn't operate. Her oxygen levels plummeted. Her morphine intake increased massively. Her body shut down, and the doctor gave COVID-19 as the cause of death. This, sadly, is also an all too familiar story by now. Think about your colleagues around the world who have refused to accept orders detrimental to their patients, preferring to lose their jobs than lose their humanity. Now is not the time to blindly accept the protocols being placed in front of you. Look into the eyes of the people under your care. Should your empathy not be with them instead of with a system based on false premises? How will you justify that you demanded or supported policies listed in Amnesty International's 1973 report on torture as methods of coercion used on prisoners of war and opponents by repressive regimes? How will you justify it to all whose health is fast deteriorating as a consequence? How will you justify it to their families and friends? How will you justify to yourself that while claiming you are overwhelmed by severe cases, you posted videos of dance routines? Read and question. All the information is there. Is there truly a dangerous pandemic? What are the variants of, if in the first place no virus has been identified? You do not need a PhD to comprehend. Science is not a matter of experts. Trust should not be automatic. Questioning accepted ideas, not taking anything at face value, are characteristics of a scientific approach. The criticality of doubting has been insisted upon by scientific thinkers from all epochs and traditions. Whatever you do, never lose your own humanity. Tolstoy wrote in 1902, "The majority have entirely lost the capacity of differentiating between good and evil, falsehood and truth. Today, have we not also lost the capacity to differentiate between reality and virtuality, between life and death? For are we not so lost that out of the fear of death for us or others, we are precipitating our own death and that of everyone else?" Those of you enforcing or participating in the enforcement of a cruel dehumanization process on population, are you not possibly for the sake of some all too ephemeral power or financial gain or security, forgetting the most essential, that which makes you a human being? Whoever you are, remember that you can lie to everyone. You can lie to your spouse, to your parents, to your children. You can lie to the entire world. You can never lie to yourself. You can never lie to life. Lying to life has consequences. Wow, that is a very powerful piece in my opinion. I don't normally add personal anecdotes, but I think in this case it's quite relevant. I would just say that I absolutely have full belief in these stories and many others, because a personal friend of mine of many years who has some mental health issues had to go to the hospital yesterday. In fact, he lives in London. He rang emergency services for the same symptoms that he experienced a year ago. A year ago, they sent an ambulance. A year ago, he was admitted to hospital. A year ago, he was given care. This year, completely different. They would not send an ambulance. After he broke down and screamed and cried in desperation on the phone, they sent a taxi to pick him up and take him to the hospital. Once there, he refused to wear a mask. He has severe anxiety. He spent 3 hours in the waiting room, waiting to be seen, amongst many people all there, wearing masks. There was an issue because he refused to wear a mask. They finally saw him, and instead of admitting him, instead of providing care, they sent him home. I spoke to him last night, and he was very distressed, very anxious, very worried about his health. He's very, very concerned about the symptoms, the severe pain, abdominal pain. They didn't even give him painkillers. All because he wouldn't wear a mask and he's not a COVID patient. So absolutely, I believe this. I live in the UK. I know how hard it is to even speak to a doctor these days. My mother needs to speak to her doctor and she can't. Every time she's fobbed off with a pharmacist or a nurse. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. And please, whoever you are listening to this, please, whether you agree in entirety with everything that is written in this paper, please share this paper. Research and educate yourself. Because the power really is with the people if we choose to wield it. Okay, thank you very much for listening. Please like, share, subscribe, and I will see you next episode. Bye-bye. Take care.